Hey everybody.
Hey, everybody.
So this is part two. So if you are just tuning in, go back and look at one. Sorry for what happened. Like that's yeah. This ain't no professional here. Like what you see is what you get. So yeah, Lord, please let this work. All right. So we're part two. Woo. So what with the video is waiting for your spouse. What we
Yes.
did in the waiting room.
Yes.
Before we came across each other, what it was like for us in the waiting room. So please go back and go and look at the first part because we're now on number two. So it's just two parts to this, but we're on the second part. So you were
Absolutely.
talking, baby. What did you say?
Yes. So, part one, I went over affirming and how I just had these core beliefs and what I felt, true love looked like, the happy ending, and that's the one thing I've never given up on throughout this whole process. And so the second thing that I did was it was what I call my process of elimination. I just felt like, you know what? I'm a man. I need to meet a woman. And as I go through, I will say this: I was so I didn't have a long any patience at all. Anything when I met women as I was going through this process of elimination. I mean, if I felt like the woman had some drama or just whatever it was, any little reason to say, "Whoop, she ain't the one." I did that. I kid you not. So as I was going through, I mean, I was like I said, it could be anything, and I was like, "Nope, nope, she ain't the one. She ain't the one." Because I just felt like once I found the right one, all the little things that come up, how, you're in a relationship and you just have these little nagging things in a relationship, that's just a part of it. But at the end of the day, I was thinking, no, she's supposed to be my true love, the one. So those little things I felt wouldn't be an issue. And
You
and
would
so
discount
so
women
I
just
was
because they had red nail polish or whatever.
if she had an issue with anything, me not going to the store, whatever, it didn't matter. I thought, well, that's so trivial. If that's an issue now, it's going to be a bigger issue later. So I just used that as my way of saying, well, she ain't the one. She ain't the one.
Wow. So
And
that means you hurt a lot of feelings.
well, I should have saved a lot of feelings too because I found my one, and they wasn't it.
Dang.
So
It's funny because when you said that, I remember my sister Tammy said that y'all were having a conversation the day of the wedding, and you were telling, um, you were telling them that any little thing that when somebody would come across you, you would find it, it would just discount them out.
yeah, yeah. And the biggest thing was probably just not me being that childish or whatever. I don't know what immature. The biggest thing was I got twins. So if it was something like having a problem with my kids or things like that, I would just say no. They can't be the one because I can't just not have kids all of a sudden. So that was huge.
Or
So
you
yeah,
even said that you even um, they couldn't even make it to the point of meeting your
yeah,
kids.
yeah.
Wow.
I had to know that it in my heart they had to be the one, or up to that point they had to be the one before I even thought about introducing to my kid, especially my daughter, because I didn't want her to think that it was okay for a guy to just be me to be bringing women in and out, because I didn't want her to feel like that's how she was supposed to be treated.
Right. And that's funny that you're saying this because, I had come across some guys, um, and they discounted me out as well. And it would be like, we would go out on a date and you would think things would be fine. And then you don't hear from them anymore. And it's because they had did their process of elimination. And I remember we were having this conversation um, about my ex. And it wasn't until I met you that I could appreciate why he chose his wife over me because she was just the one.
Yeah.
I wasn't the one. And of course, it broke my heart, back then. But now I understand, like, Lord,
Yeah.
if I could have seen what I was getting, oh my God.
And the funny, it's weird because we want to be wanted by other people, and we want, sometimes the wrong person to want us because
Right.
we think that they're the right person for whatever reason that we're going through at that time. And but what I think is so magical about this whole thing is this whole process is once I started speaking with God and started saying, you know what? Evidently, I don't know what I'm looking for, and I don't know how to figure this thing out. So I need to relinquish this and give this to you. And once I did that, I learned a whole lot more about not only me, but I learned so much about love because once God is love, and what I learned once I start having those conversations and getting to that point to say, you know, I need to turn this over to you and let you do this, and I need to just get out the way. I
Because a lot
started,
of
yeah,
feelings were being hurt.
yeah, and not only that, I started thinking, like you said earlier, how on the earlier video where you said you really dove in deep, you know, to learn. That's what I started doing. I started pulling the word up, and then I started thinking, and it's funny because one of the scriptures that really helped me was early in the Bible when God said, that He recognized that Adam was alone and He wanted to give him a helpmate. What stood out to me about that whole thing was He put Adam to sleep. It was one of those things almost where He was saying, I don't need your help. So I'm just going to put you to sleep so you can't get in the way. And that's how I interpreted it. And I was thinking, I just need to get out the way. I'm in my own way of Him doing what He does. And I was like, wow. So once I kind of came to that revelation about myself being in the way, I just thought, yeah, Lord, I'm giving this to you and I'm moving. And I'm getting out the way. I'm not even going to trip about it. I'm not going to think about it. When you tell me you have the right woman for me, then I'm going to be like, okay. And that's what I did.
And in that scripture, when He put Adam to sleep, that's when He started forming Eve out of Adam, and which goes into my number two, which was my number two is self-discovery. And I remember I had got a prophecy a couple of months before I came across your profile. I got a prophecy that said that the Lord was going to take me through a pruning period, and I was going to be pruned. And I'm still, let me just say that I'm still being pruned. Like every day I'm learning something more and more. So it doesn't stop. It's not like you meet the one and then you all of a sudden perfect, because that's such a false narrative that they're pushing about marriage. Well, once you meet the one, now you've arrived and you're perfect. No, every single day, like we are learning each other and learning new things about ourselves. But at that point, I really started doing some really self-discovery about myself. And it was a couple of points in me that needed to be pruned. And one of the things was this whole thing of me. Anybody who knows me know that I'm a giver. I'm a giver. My whole brand is a savvy servant. I'm a giver. I give my time. I'll give money. I'll give this. But I learned that was me giving. Was it true? Like a really true giving out of the desires of my heart and wanted to see the person better, or was it a form of control? And a lot of my giving, I learned that was as a form of control, was and so I remember when fast forward to when we got engaged and we went to go look at the venue, the hotel, and then the salesperson sent the contract over to me a couple of days later, and she said, okay. She said, we're ready to sign a contract. It says we only need like a $4,000 or $5,000 deposit, and I was like, ooh. And I remember I told you, and you said, okay, well, here's my card number. And I was like, okay, so I don't have to stress about paying for this. I can relinquish control. And I remember I was telling my best friend, Janice, I said, can you believe this? And she was like, yeah, that's what real men do. Like that's what they
Yeah.
do. They step up and they like so and so me having to not be the one who gave the money in this and even like okay like you did the all through our dating and even still like paying for dinner and meals and stuff, but I felt like even that was like I had to always be the one who you know pay for things and it wasn't again it wasn't I learned that it wasn't me being a giver, even though I like to consider myself one. It was more of me being in control. So that was one of the self discoveries I had to figure out, that I got this control thing, like especially being alone for so
Yeah.
long and just even a lot of other things about my appearance. Everybody always, since we were little, compared me and my sister to one another, and she's the prettier one and Jill is the fatter one, and she's and Jill is I had this stigma about my hair for so long, because when I was little I had this long thick hair, and instead of people, and I can't blame anybody, it was just how I received it, but instead of people saying, basically mostly family members, instead of saying, affirming my hair, how beautiful it was, even though they probably did, I took away more of the negative things that they said about my hair. It's coarse and she's tender headed, and my hair used to always nap up and knot up because it was so thick and long, and she got nappy hair, and it's this and it's hard to manage, and that's why she wears it this way. And so I had this stigma about my hair. And so I was the queen relaxer. Like I needed manageable hair and for so long. And I remember in 2019, a part of the self discovery of who
Yeah.
I was, I went natural.
I remember
And
that.
I went natural and I decided, you know what, I'm going to embrace my hair. And it's like, and even like, I'm always on somebody's diet, I'm always trying to work out, but I even started to just embrace who I was and who I was made to be. Like all the women in my family, my mama side and my daddy side got, big butt and hips. Like, and that was just a part of my makeup. And I had to just, okay, it's okay. I'm going to find that person who really accepts me for me. Even though I tried to be better about myself, but I just really started to embrace myself. So that was my number two. It was a lot of self discovery. And when I started to just let God prune me as He was doing Eve, like just making her and pruning her, some things weren't feeling good. Um, but yeah, that was the outcome. And I'm still going through my own. Still, day by day, we're learning more and more. I
Yeah.
always say that being in a relationship um, is the best self development tool,
Actually, it is.
because I see so much of me in Terrence, and Terrence, I'm sure, sees a lot of him and me, and it's like, why are you doing things that way? And if I get upset about it, it is a sign that it's something that I feel that I don't like in myself. And so yeah, so that's what the waiting room was for me. It was a lot of uh, deep diving, like crying, trying to figure it out, willing to go to the process. I was so sick of myself. I was just trying to just be a better person for me. And I know this sounds cliche, just trying to figure out who I was and if I loved me. Like I can emphatically say, I love me some Jill. Like I can, and I would say this before he came into my life. I got to the point where I said, I love me some Jill. Like the things that everybody said were, and this is funny, the things that everybody, like especially family members, thought negatively of me were the things that were a hit in my business. So me being the 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 one who's very direct and direct with what I'm saying, and go straight to the source, and this and this and all those things were issues in my family, but those are the things that in my business that people come to love me for. And so I started to see myself in a different way, and really saying, okay, well, I like her, like I really do like her, and it's okay. Like you're not you're still a work in progress, and it's okay. like the Lord was saying, we'll prune you up, we'll cut off the rough edges, but I made you who I made you, and you're bold and you're courageous, and you're a go-getter, and you are this, and you're a faith walker, and you take risks, and this is, and where it was looked upon as, I am also one of those people who I'm quiet, and they call me, she's very secretive, and it's because I've learned how to speak and when not to speak. And so um yeah.
And I will say that a big part of this that I think people would appreciate if they experience the same thing that I did, or some of the same things, and that is once I gave it to God and I started speaking to Him more and started listening more, He actually started revealing things to me that actually started making sense about why the process was so long. For an example, one, I'm thinking, I'm okay. I just need to find someone that's going to love me for me. But what I didn't realize, as you were in the pruning process, so was I. He's getting me ready for who my bride was going to be. At the same time, I'm learning that, you know, there are levels to this. I might have, say on my list, I got 50 items of things and characteristics that I'm thinking, oh, she's got to have this or this or this or this. You know, well, when I got out of God's way, the one thing He revealed to me in that process was, well, you had 50 things on your list. Well, just so you know, I added like another 100 to it.
Wow.
That way, not only will she be good for you today, she's going to be good for you next week, next year, next century if y'all live that long. It's like, and
Forever.
so what I learned was, we as human beings think we know it all. Well, I can't tell you what I'm gonna need 10 years from now. I can't tell you what I'm gonna need 2 years from now, but God knows. And He revealed that to me and said, hey, check this out. You thought you had it. Well, and I appreciate all these things you had on your list, but since you've gotten out the way, I've been able to add some things that I know you're going to need that you didn't even think about.
Which makes
Yes.
when we, the bringing us together effortless. It's like, okay, I didn't everything that was a issue of us coming together had to do with me personally, like being impatient. Like it had nothing to do with him. It had to do, if he was taking long, it wasn't that he was taking long. It was that I wanted it yesterday.
Yeah.
And it was funny because my sister had mentioned, she said, Jill, just think, she said it in her speech at the reception. Just think 2 years ago, we were doing this and you didn't even, he wasn't even, and now 2 years later. And I was like, it was that quick.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it was a long time. But no, it was just that me being pruned and still being pruned. Like I am still have some impatientness. Like God is working on me. But that was the waiting room. That was that it was like, okay, Lord, I surrender.
Yeah.
I surrender.
And I view that as Him putting me to sleep during that time, and just, so I just knew, just stay out the way, just stay out the way, and when He's ready, when He's finished whatever He's doing, He'll let me know. And so, and that was actually like one of the most calm, relaxing years I probably had, and I don't know when. I mean, I didn't worry about anything during that year. I didn't worry about work or nothing. I mean, everything was smooth. My kids were showing up to see me, even when my job has had me scheduled to working on holidays like Thanksgiving. They would call me to security and say, "You got a guest," and I get there, and my daughter's there with a Thanksgiving meal. You know what I mean? And I was like, "Wow, that."
Wow.
And I'm thinking, "This is cool,"
Yeah.
And then
boom, soon as you,
then I get my Christmas present.
Yeah, because it was around that. It was around the holidays we
Yeah.
started
So
talking.
yeah,
So it's amazing that yeah. Then and because we dug deep in the spirit realm, like we now know, like we start to see
yes,
signs, like
yeah,
like this butterfly. It's like seems like every time this yellow butterfly, which is one of the um um emblems on our brand. But every time we see this yellow butterfly, it's like it shows us as a sign that we're to make a move, or we're to, this is it. It's like something is happening. It's like periodically we'll be out and about, and this yellow butterfly would just fly around the car, and we were like, we were trying to make a decision a couple of weeks ago about, where we were going to move. And we were unsure. We was up to 3 places. It was between 3 places, and Terrence said, I just saw the butterfly right there. I was like, okay, this is it. So you start to see signs, and and so that was the waiting period. The waiting period, it was figuring out, if God is love, then I got to find out who God is, because I want real love. I don't want, that.
So if I could just say to anybody that views this video, if you're in God's waiting room, then what I would suggest is that you focus on you. Just take care of you. Put some energy into loving you, giving you some self-care, and just being the best version of you, because God has already taken care of everything else. And once you do that, then, because you never know which one of those traits that other person is looking for, that they're going to see when they see you. So you have to be the best version of you. That way, when that person see you, whatever that is that he or she is looking for,
his spirit will leap.
Exactly. They're going to recognize it in you. So
you got to get out and about. You can't just stay in the house looking at videos. You got to get out.
Because if we went knocking on your doors looking for you, you kind of think that, we was kind of weird.
Right. And also, I just from what Terrence said, I know some guys as well. There are more men than women, I'm telling you, that are really alone, really looking for and waiting for the one. And so
Absolutely. So with that said, as we said in video 1 at the beginning, we're going to say in video 2 at the end, we hope everybody have a very blessed 4th of July weekend and a belated Juneteenth holiday. Yes. So deuces to everybody. And
we're going to go do our thing, go pack and get ready for our move.
Absolutely.
So and don't forget, go back and look at video 1. And please share our videos. We want to get the message out to people. All right. So y'all be blessed.
And take care.